Good evening, MJ.
Good evening, Trey.
Just off to our west, we have an absolutely gorgeous sunset.
Yes.
After a few days of rainy weather.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
We've got a lot to discuss tonight. We're gonna discuss some U.S. Sprint Enduro, some FTR, some GNCC, some uh, National Enduro. We're gonna discuss the good, the bad. We may even have a guest
Yes.
lined up.
Excited.
So for episode 43.5 of Beyond the Curve, Goes Off Road and Off Track and Everywhere Else, that is MJ Adonis. I am Trey Heath, and we're going to talk racing.
Yes.
This weekend was the first round of the GNCC, started in Union, South Carolina. It was round 6, I think, of FTR. And that was a tale of 2 days. So we're going to shoot the breeze for a couple minutes just until we can make contact with our guest. And if we get our guest on, it's going to be pretty cool. You'll notice for our display tonight, we have the new Yodanis 525 racing hats. And MJ's proudly wearing one of his own hats. So it's like you're wearing your own jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how I feel about that because I hate when people walk around the racetrack wearing their jerseys and they're not going out to race. So
a few years ago, I think it was Walker Fowler, who was at the Tampa Supercross, and he was wearing his own number 1 jersey. And the media crew, one of the main media outlets, just absolutely ragged him mercilessly. They didn't let up on him. And for some reason, I don't understand though. If I'm a football fan or a soccer fan or a baseball fan, I can walk into a stadium and it's okay if you're wearing a jersey. But if you go to a motocross race and you're wearing a jersey, people make fun of you. And if you're wearing your own jersey, oof.
I'm not opposed if you're wearing like your favorite rider's jersey. Like now, you can buy the replica jerseys.
Yeah.
So like I'm not opposed to that, but wearing your own jersey, I don't know. Maybe that's gonna be a hot topic for the LVK More Than Moto podcast from Kellen Brower.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get them that topic and see what they think about that.
Well, maybe we'll ask our guest.
Yeah.
We'll ask our guest what his opinion on that is and see if we can get an honest answer. Because our guest has merch.
Yes.
And our guest wears his own merch. But I wonder if he would wear his own jersey.
Yeah, so here's my hot take on that. So I guess this would kind of be merch, but like I feel like wearing your own merchandise is okay because it's streetwear. Like, like just how I'm wearing my DP Brake shirt, But it's also advertising.
Yes, it is your own.
So I don't know. That is a very hot topic.
I mean, I believe that most people walk around with their team stuff on because it's their team.
Yeah. But it's usually streetwear stuff. It's not,
their uniform.
Yeah.
It would be kind of weird for like, I don't know, an IndyCar driver to walk around with their fire suit today.
Yeah.
Like that would be kind of weird. But they might wear a Penske racing shirt.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
So, is it time?
I think we can get, but I will say I'm very sorry about this, but my nose is running all of a sudden. So I'm going to grab a tissue very quickly.
We are going to cover a wide variety of results tonight. The only reason I pulled it off is because there was so much racing recently. And I don't have anything for FTR because it was unbelievable quagmire on Sunday. And I don't even know how they got results. So we're going to talk about FTR, but goodness gracious, that club, they worked so hard to get a track put together, to put on a great race. And then they spent, I don't know how many hours. They were still pulling people out Monday morning.
Yes.
From the track. So.
Just absurd. And like you said, extreme props to them for toughing that out. Everybody, we race on the weekend so we can go to work on Monday. Yeah. So they're trying to make it where people can, I'm sure they went around to the rigs and were like, hey, can you take off tomorrow or do we need to get you out? Or, and probably prioritize people, but yeah, major props to them for. I always like this property. I know you've had
some good and bad.
Yeah. You had a bad crash 2 years ago now. And I've had good and bad luck here. I've won here and I've lost and broken but
it's just it's a cool piece. But the reports I got and just FYI, I may actually do. There may be a 43.7 this week because I may have Jason Crowley on to talk about some of the goggle technologies.
Yeah,
and he'll dive into that race this past weekend. And not only, like, you always wonder what someone's thinking when they come off the track. The guy right beside us and Jason, 2 different classes. I was talking with Jason. I was listening to the young man talk to his father. They exactly had the same feelings, like what was going on, and that's why they both pulled off the track. Yeah. Like it took Jason, who's a decent A rider, and the guy that was beside me, he had won a race already this year in B Open, and it took these guys like almost an hour to do a lap.
Wow.
And it was ridiculous. And I know people have tried to put out their videos and stuff, and it's one of those that makes off-road racing what it is.
Yeah.
And I know people got stuck, and you know what? The road got to the point that it was probably impassable because I heard some of the motorhomes couldn't even get pulled out because they were bottoming out.
Yeah.
They were afraid they were going to rip stuff off. So, you want to reach out to our guest and see if we can get him?
Yeah, he is ready to go.
He's ready?
He's ready to go.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's I'll start my little screen recording here for our YouTube viewers and let Miss Michelle try and splice that all together. But yeah, so let's. I don't want that. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see what we can make happen here. He said he was ready. Good evening, sir.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Should I go sideways or upwards?
It doesn't matter. We'll splice it together.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
How was your YouTube chat?
No, it was good. It was pretty quiet. But yeah, just go on there just in case there anyone comments or whatever. I'm terrible with like getting back with people, so the YouTube thing is like if people comment on the live stream, it's like I'm right there, so I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
That's awesome for a guy that's introverted, like you've talked about being, and kind of doing your own thing. It's really it's very upfront that you'll go on and be there for them when they're ready to talk to you. So that's awesome. I mean, that's a great way to handle it.
Yeah, I try. I don't know. It's difficult because I'm trying to balance, work and training and everything. But I try to like get back with the people that are fans. It's like I don't know. It's if I had access to text Tom Brady, I would try to text Tom Brady. Not comparing myself to him, but it's like I don't know. It's cool. If you look up to somebody, it's like you just if you have access, you might as well try to ask away. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad because I feel like in our world, you're almost like a Tom Brady-esque person because our sport isn't as big as football is. So, yeah, you might not have the millions of followers, but if you look across the board at the amount of followers you have compared to other people in our sport, I mean, you almost are like a Tom Brady-esque person. So it's not – I don't think it would be a bad comparison to – in our sport at least,
Yeah, I mean, Tom's got 7 Super Bowl rings, and I don't have any championships at the national level. But yeah, I see what you mean, though. Like,
hey, you're a Florida hero. You're a Florida hero. By the way, on the line with us, we have a very, very, very popular Floridian, Jesse Ansley, XC2 star. By the way, I think you had a lot of us fooled, which you talked about in your Tuesday toolbox when you were motoring around on your 450. Doing some preseason training, we were all kind of like, oh, man, is he making the jump? But, yes, we have Jesse Ansley, FTR star, GNCC star, XC3 champion twice.
Yeah, twice.
In GNCC. So Jesse joined us tonight. We're going to talk about his program. We're going to talk about the first round of the GNCC and just kind of get to know Jesse. And we appreciate you being with us tonight, Jesse, and taking the time and making some time for us. So
yeah, absolutely. It's race season, so everything's kind of picking back up. Media's picking back up, so yeah, it's my favorite part of the year.
We have a very serious first question for you, though. We were just having this discussion. Do you remember a couple years ago when Walker Fowler wore his jersey to the Tampa Supercross and took a whole bunch of heat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No one can forget that.
So the question is, you sell merch, and MJ is wearing his own hat tonight. That we feel like that's acceptable. Would you ever walk around with your own jersey on?
My own jersey, probably not. Yeah, probably not my own jersey. I mean, obviously at the track it's a different thing, but as far as merch, for sure, I'd definitely rock my merch, kind of promote that stuff. But yeah, as far as the jersey, that's a no for me.
Okay, we were curious because what got us off on that? We were talking about something before we went live.
I don't even remember what
we were talking about. Like, we'll ask our guests because you have the potential to be in situations where that could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think his reasoning was for the kids, which, I mean, at that point, you really can't argue.
Nope.
Nope. You just shut it down real quick.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I would do a lot, for, to encourage kids or whatever the case was. I can't really remember why he did it for the kids, but, yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like, he was kind of too far in the hole. He was getting a lot of heat, and then he finally came out and said he's doing it for the kids. So I think if he would have started off with that, everyone would have kind of just left it alone.
Yeah.
But yeah. As far as the jersey goes, no, that's a no for me.
Now, so obviously you mentioned your own merch. Do you want to let everybody know where they can get that at?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. As far as the website goes, it's just my name, jesseansley.com, and we try to keep the merch in stock. We've been kind of out recently because we're trying to do, obviously we transitioned from KTM to Cowie, so the image from last year's t-shirt has to change. So we've been working on a new t-shirt design, which should drop soon, next week or two. So I'm hoping to have them done by Florida GNCC. I think a lot of local fans and stuff will be supportive, and yeah, it'd be cool to see everyone wearing some JA merch at Florida GNCC.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talking about that KTM to Cowie switch, you want to run us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of started, I knew I wanted a change in my program, and I just had a really good opportunity with Cowie, and, I heard a lot of good rumors about how good the Cowie was, and we have some pretty good connections with Cowie, and I just was like, if we're going to do it, now's the time to do it. I've been with KTM for a really long time, but just like everything, I mean, especially at this level, everything's kind of business, and the right business decision for myself was to move on, and Cowie, I landed up, with a support ride and a little bit of help with Cowie, so far the bike's been really, really good. I've been really liking it. Like you guys mentioned, I was on a 450 this winter, and
you looked really damn good, man. You were riding that thing smooth, real smooth.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the second day I was on it, it tossed me down pretty good, and I think from that day forward, I was like, okay, I got to respect the 450 and just use the power that it provides, and I got really used to it, and I actually really started enjoying riding it. And then obviously for XC2, we got to go to 250. So I jumped on a 250 and rode it 4 times before the last race. And mid-way through the race, I'm like, man, I'm lugging it way too much. I got to be higher RPM. So I never hit the rev limiter one time on the 450. And I was finally starting to ride the 250 like it should be ridden later on in the race. So yeah, the Cowie's good. I really like it.
Yeah, real quick on the transition from KTM to Cowie, and I know you're getting support. While you were going through that process, was there any potential of other brands? Was there any talk of a Yamaha, Beta, Sherco, Honda, anything like that, or were you pretty sold on the Cowie from the start?
I definitely talked to a couple manufacturers, but at the end of the day, like when I first started thinking about switching, Cali came to mind at first. But I really didn't know the potential, right? I mean, like I said, it's kind of a business decision. So if you're not going to get any support, there's really no reason to pursue that manufacturer. And so I did talk to, I had Cali in mind at first, and I talked to a couple manufacturers, and finally I was just like, you know what, I just need to ask Cali, and I got some contacts there, and next thing you know, the Sarasota Power Sports was like, hey, we have a couple of Cowies. And I was like, well, let's stop talking about it. Let's do it. So, yeah, once I sold my KTMs and we were ready to go pick up some Cowies. So awesome. That's kind of how that went.
Well, you look good on the transition. On another business note, you talked about the business side of it. You've been with KTM with different levels of KTM for a while, and how do you go about getting rid of all of your KTM stuff? Like you have gear and uniforms and shirts and bags, and what do you do? Just throw it away or give it away, or what do you do with it?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had a huge stockpile of KTM stuff, and I mean, I still have a ton of stuff, and I was fortunate enough to have that stuff provided to me, so I'm not really the type of person to like try to sell that stuff. And I mean, it is mine, but if I could help out somebody, if they are in a pinch and need something, like it's really nothing. I don't really think twice about giving them my resources as well. Like I have it here, but yeah, as far as like merchandise and everything, I just put them in like the team clothing. I just put them in a weatherproof time capsule, I guess, and just have it in storage. So when I'm 50 years old, I can look back and reminisce about the good old days. But yeah, I don't give out my helmets, and I try not to give out too many sets of gear and like team clothing and stuff, just because yeah, it's all we have at the end of our life is memories. So yeah, I want to hang on to them as much as possible.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about this weekend. First round, new bike, kind of your own program, and you started out in Union, South Carolina, and I was looking at results or looking at live scoring, and you were in 11th, and then you were in 11th, and then you started crawling up, and then you finished 8th. Not a bad start to the year, I don't think.
No, it was good. Like you said, I was back there in 11th. Kind of like the same old story from last year. I think I did have more fight in me than last year. I think like last year I would just let it discourage me a little bit, and I would just kind of hang back there. But this year, like I got a good start, just got pumped up, and it wasn't because I was like overriding or anything. It was just I just got pumped up, and once I reset, I was like, all right, let's move forward. And I was just getting pit board, like minus 45 and then minus 30. And then I would catch, one person and pass them. And then the next pit board, okay, minus 45 again. And I was just clicking off, one rider at a time and just trying to make my way, as far as I could. Obviously, I'm losing so much time that like the top 5 is way out of reach for me. But I just need to, have better control of my first couple laps. And I think, even if I'm, 7, 8 by the end of lap 2, then I know that I can keep crawling my way up to the top 5. I mean, I'm in really good shape. And like, it's just something about those last laps that like, even if it's for 8th place, like I will die trying to pass you. It just doesn't matter.
How do you talked about you had a rough start and you started climbing your way up, and I think it's awesome that you look at those times and you see you're making progress. How do you do that reset? And I ask because I'm not nearly as good of a rider, but I used to get arm pump real bad, and then when I would fall, my arm pump went away and I rode great the rest of the race. So how does someone like you, who you can feel like, man, I'm just not riding, how do you reset on the bike and start clicking it off?
There's a couple different ways. Luckily, I've had the opportunity to work with Steve Hatch, and the one biggest thing I've taken away from him is like, when you make a mistake or something happens, it's like you just have to forget about it right then. And he always uses the analogy of just pull a tear off. And I mean, even if it's mentally pull a tear off, you're resetting, you're leaving it in the past. I mean, if you fall and you get back up and you ride a turn or two, like that fall's already happened. There's no reason to think about it anymore. So, I just think about like the next section, next straightaway, next corner, and like eventually, in the moment, I'm like, trying to get my pump to go away, and then once I get it to go away, then it's like, okay, let's hit this section or better, and let's get to this next guy. And once you start like catching people, then it's like obviously super easy to motivate yourself because you're like, okay, the next guy, and it's unfortunately, I'm like pretty good at it at this point of like going from the back and trying to work my way up as far as I can. But I think, when I do get the arm pump stuff figured out and like I get the first 2 or 3 laps figured out of the race, like all this struggle will help me when I'm in that top 5 situation, come lap 4 and 5, that I'm just going to be like, oh, well, I can go get third. Yeah. Like, right now I'm back there in 10th, and it's like, okay, now I'm finishing 7th and 8th because I'm going forward. So when I'm like 5th, come lap 3 or 4, I know mentally like, okay, I can go to third. Like that's just, I don't know. It's pretty messed up. Like my mind is pretty jacked right now when it comes to that. But I'm just really looking forward to figuring it out.
Yeah, I got a question on that too, because you've had some awesome results in enduros. And they're broken into segments. So it's weird. And I'm only asking because I try to figure this stuff out for myself too. But it's weird to me that you are you're good in the enduros in those segmented events. But you talk about how you struggle in the first 2 or 3 laps in a GNCC. Can you not bring that mindset of the enduro into the hare scramble style thought process?
Yeah, I mean, we've thought of everything. I mean, like you said, I kill it in enduros. I mean, I'm looking at my number 1 plate from 2021 National Enduro Pro 2, and it's just like that reset. I think, I pump up at the beginning, and I mean, I don't think I ever went one race where I went all 6 test wins, just because like the first test, of course, I'm like kind of struggling. And then, I've won. I'm pretty sure I've won a couple of races where I went, 5 out of 6 test wins. Just can never get that first one, and it's because I get pumped up and I just don't ride very good. Then once I like stop and reset, and I'm like, oh, okay, I know how to ride a dirt bike again. And same thing when it comes to like the sprint enduro format. Is like the first couple tests I wasn't very good, still like timid. Once I got loose, it was like, I was trying, to gain as much as I lost, or gain more than I lost the first couple tests. But I mean, with even at FTR, I still get pumped up. But luckily, like down here, I'm really fortunate to be on a different level than the guys down here. So when I get pumped up, I just kind of ride around and get rid of it, and then I just keep racing. And no one really sees that down here, just because like if I can sprint the first 15 minutes and get a minute lead, I can just maintain that for, a lap or two, and no one even knows the difference that I'm either gaining or losing time.
Right. Yeah. So, I will make mention that we aren't live. We film these beforehand. We post them next day or, a couple days later. So if we need to cut anything out, we can. And I go into
perfect.
Perfect. And I say that because of this next question. If you don't want to answer it, we can cut it out. No big deal. But I did want to kind of talk about the transition from riding on a factory supported team to then running your own privateer program, and then to now this. So if you don't mind walking us through a little bit, share the details that you can. Obviously, don't share the details that you can't. Or if you want to completely ignore it, we can just completely splice it out. That's no big deal.
No, I think that's a good question. A lot of people, I do get that question often. And I mean, being on on the KTM team. It was it didn't really feel like reality at first. It was like, when I flew out to California and I stepped in the race shop and I saw my bike in the KTM shop, I was like, dang, I would have never thought this was ever going to happen in my life. And, it wasn't like a full factory, program. I was still responsible for a lot of stuff. And, I wasn't paying to be on it or anything like that. But it was like, I got a ton of parts and good bonuses and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a really good time in my career. I was only 18, 19 years old. And yeah, it was really cool having like a mechanic and stuff like that. But as far as now, like that's in the past. And yeah, it's cool that I can kind of run my own program and like I'm still the same me as I was on, with KTM.
Yeah.
Like, I think, I don't know, it's cool. Dealing with sponsors myself and, it's kind of like it's, in a way, it's a little bit more rewarding because I'm the one, like, having to maintain these relationships with sponsors and I'm the one that's, like, responsible for getting my bike ready.
Yeah.
And I'm the one responsible for, Taylor obviously is a huge help and she, takes care of the travel, like the hotels and all the bookings and stuff. And like, it's a full-time thing. And yeah, not very many people realize. And like, I was talking to Cole Thompson like last weekend, and he's like, "Dang, you like do everything?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I just do it because I love it,
Yeah.
Like I'm not out here like getting rich or anything, and I'm just doing it like whether I have a ride or not. I know I have a lot of key people that are going to support me either way, and I just want to do it for as long as I can. Like obviously, I don't want to just be out there for no purpose. Like I still want to do really good, and I still want to push myself and try to represent the companies that are helping me out the best I can. And yeah, I'm really happy with the situation I'm in right now.
Absolutely. And I have 2 sub points for that. I can also agree with you on the sponsorship side of it. I'm only 18. Well, I say only. I'm, I guess, technically an adult now. But ever since I was about middle school, my dad has made me, get my own sponsors, build those relationships, make resumes, all that stuff. And it's not because he didn't want any part of it. My parents are my biggest supporters when it comes to my race program, but he wanted me to learn how to do that and learn how to talk. And, I have my introverts at times, but I also talk somebody's ear off. So being able to learn those qualities and skills of running your own program and, building those relationships, like you said, it also makes it a little bit more meaningful because you have that one-on-one relationship with this person that you're having to build and have built, compared to, possibly having to go through a team to be able to get to these sponsors. And then my second sub point to that, well, actually I have 3 sub points, so just bear with me. My second sub point is in that transition phase, and I know that you were having some health issues at some point. Like the wildest thing to me was when I watched the Hoosier race vlog. I think it was from 2021, and whoever edited your race clips that race got you throwing up your drink coming out of pro row or going into pro row or something. And I just thought that was the craziest, wildest thing, but it also showed your determination in that, and in this moment, and showing how much you care about racing, obviously, and how much you want to succeed to continue to ride through that. But where I'm going with that, was there ever a time that you thought about just hanging up the boots and getting out of it?
Not like any. I mean, I think we all question it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's just part of the sport, and like you're obviously gonna have your lows and you're gonna have your highs at some point. But I've never like seriously thought about it. Like this sport is just way too much damn fun, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know, you're laying there like you know, I've broken a few bones, and it's just like you're like, you know, screw this is dumb. And then, you know, like when I got surgery and I finally came off the drugs, I'm like, all right, I need to do this and this so I can get racing this weekend and this and that. And like, you just, I don't know. And even with the hardship of like putting your own team together, you know, when you get like, you know, you get turned down by a company or whatever the case is, you're just like, man, like I really thought like, you know, I put a good resume together and I have all these numbers and all this stuff, but it's like, I mean, it's just like if you're talking to a girl and she tells you no, you're not gonna, you know, you're just gonna be forever alone.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta get back up and you gotta, you know, talk to more people. And it's the same thing with the sport. It's like, you know, one company tells you no, you go to the next company and they offer you a small salary. You know, it's just like it. And yeah, I mean, not to get off the subject or anything, but yeah, I really never seriously thought about it. You know, I just like it too much, and even if I was gonna quit racing like at a professional level, I'd still, you know, race locally and have fun.
Absolutely. And you don't have to worry about going off the subject. In our intro, it's Beyond the Curve. MX podcast goes off road, but it also goes off topic a lot. So you don't have to worry about that at all.
That's a good podcast for me then.
Yeah, because we like sometimes we talk about IMSA races, sometimes we talk about sports. I mean, we're all over the board, so you don't have to worry about that. But my last sub point for this topic is: was there ever a time, or maybe even currently, that you've had to go back to? Obviously, you're racing, you're training, you're working on this stuff, but have you ever had to go to work, like an actual, not 9-to-5 job? Because there's a lot of, you know, especially after COVID, there's not really 9-to-5 anymore. But have you ever had to go work for somebody, or maybe work for yourself, but actual quote unquote work?
Yeah, I think this is a subject that a lot of people really don't know. But I mean, shoot, sometimes I wish I could do a 9-to-5 because working for family, it's a full-time thing. But I mean, just to start off with, like 2019, I just won my second XC3 championship, and I was pushing really hard for a salary, you know, just because like the bonuses were good, but I mean, I was getting older, like I was getting into XC2, and like there was no salary, so I was like, all right, well, I have to do something, right? So I just started working construction, and I mean, those were like some of my longest days of my life.
Yeah.
Just because, for one, I hated it, and two, I mean, they were just long days. I mean, I was getting like 70, 75 hours a week. It was like insane. Wow. So I did that during the winter, and then finally I was like, okay, I need to start riding. If I want to do any type of good this year, I need to start riding and stuff. So luckily, like, they were cool about it. They like knew my situation and stuff. They were like family friends, and let me do my thing. And then when COVID happened, I went back. There was no racing and stuff, and I was like, okay, I don't get my per diem, I don't get any bonuses, so I went back, worked all through COVID, and that was kind of it for that. It was just like, I knew that I didn't want that to be my lifestyle, and I mean, I was making pretty decent money, but it was like all the guys that I was working with had, like, you know, their stories of back in my day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that type of guy. And so I was like, I'm out. And that's when I moved north, and I was just like racing locals and just kind of getting by, just able to pay my bills, you know. I was just hoping I would get weekend money just so I can pay my phone bill and get to the next race, you know. And but now that I'm back home, I'm just I'm kind of like the shop boy for Tom.
Yeah.
Here at the shop, and I mean, some days it's like I don't have anything to do and I can really focus on my stuff, and then some days it's like I'm here a long time. I don't get to do any of my stuff. So it's a good balance, I think, and just trying to set myself up better for the future. It's like, luckily I have some really, really good sponsors on board this year, and I'm able to make it to most of the race, or all the races and everything like that with their support.
Yeah.
But it's like the racing does come to an end one day, and I just want to make sure that I'm in a really good spot. In life, so when I do finally decide, hey, I'm done racing, then it's not like a wake up call. I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row and be in a good position for myself and my family.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know a lot of people don't think about that, especially kids my age. They're go 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 go. Well, eventually, I mean, unfortunately, this is a young man sport. You don't see the Tom Brady's who are in it for years and years to come. Just using Tom Brady as an example because we were already talking about him, but it is a young man sport, which we do see that tide changing a little bit, especially on Supercross and motocross. I mean, the guys are getting older, but do you see yourself being in the industry forever, almost like I'm sure you know him, everybody knows him, like a Johnny G, where I mean, not saying you got to race for 27, 28 years, however long he was in XC1, but at least being like almost like a brand ambassador like he is for Yamaha and GBC, where he's still able to go to every race. He's getting paid to go to every race, but obviously he's just not racing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's like one of the so-called dream jobs of our sport is like, you put in the hours and you get those relationships, and then after you're done racing, you kind of hope that a company kind of takes you under their wing and then gives you a position like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has long and hard days that he doesn't want to do, but he also is still in the sport, still relevant. I don't know about this year, but he does the Racer TV commentating and stuff.
Yeah.
And like that would be super cool. I think like, yeah, I still want to be in a sport. Like I said, this sport is way too fun just to be like up and out,
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some people that like the limelight and there's some people that don't. And I'm kind of 50-50 either way. Like I see, I guess I provide entertainment to people, and I guess with the vlogs and just the opportunity I've been given for like racing locally and being one of the better ones to race in Florida. And so when people come and they want to talk to me and stuff, I think that's super cool, and I would never turn it down or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I got offered a brand ambassador position, it would obviously, I would need to think about it. Depending on what it was. But yeah, I mean, to go to the races, not have to put your life at risk, still be around the sport, and go race and ride whenever you want and have fun would be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. I had another question, but I'd like to get you on maybe like mid-season, kind of a mid-season update.
Yeah, for sure. But maybe come on and talk about some good news.
Yeah. But what I want to do is we started off talking about kids in a funny way about Walker Fowler, but you do actually some cool stuff. You do some camps, and you went to this all the way across a daggum country race down in Panama. Was it Panama?
Yeah, and Panama. Yeah.
Tell me about you. You talked about being in Florida. You're a legend in Florida, and you also race nationally. How do you use that with your camps and helping the kids? And that is such a big thing because I'm old, so I'm not growing the sport. You're able to grow the sport by helping these young people do that. How is that enjoyable? Is it stressful? Is it just something fun to do? Does it help pay the bills? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. Like, it's obviously super cool, and I love doing it. Obviously, it is stressful, like planning dates and when races get canceled and rescheduled, and you have dates and commitments, and you're like, shoot, now we got to change. And like, it is work, and with anything, like it is stressful. But as far as the kid camps go, but I have a really good team. with Camp Lingua. They really do a stand-up job of, kind of taking care of a lot of stuff when a lot of stuff needs to be taken care of. But yeah, I mean, as far as the youth program goes, like, I started off just like anybody else, right? I was in PWC. I don't think I got top 10 my first couple of races. I was just like one of those kids. And growing up, I obviously like had heroes, and like I will never forget when I was in 65 class. Like Charlie Mullins came to one of the FTRs, and we knew someone that knew him, and like obviously I was like a huge Charlie fan, and I'll never forget that he like took one morning to like talk to us and give us some jerseys, and we got some photos and stuff, and like I'll never forget that ever. And I've also looked at the people that now, like, I just don't gel with, and I don't ever want to be that kind of person,
Yeah.
Like, luckily I'm pretty mentally strong, and like I just never want to be that type of person where, these kids look up to me, and then when they find out, who I, so-called real, the real person, like I don't want them to be disappointed. I want them to be like, man, I was, he was so good and he was so cool, and like he is the reason why I'm here today, because like I look up to him, and like that's really what heroes are for. You like look up to them because you want to be like them. So like I want to be that example. Like, I mean, I just look at Travis Pastrana, like crazy legend. But like he, as far as I know, he's like super encouraging, and like he is a great guy. So like for like FTR people, like the kids and stuff, I try to like get on the starting line, and I try to interact with most of them, and like hopefully in 20 years they're on the AA line doing the same thing.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of my goal with it, is like I want to grow the sport, and I want the kids that look up to me to know, like, just because you're better at something than somebody else doesn't mean that you're any like your personality is better than them. Like everyone is better than someone at something, and luckily for me in Florida, like I'm good on a dirt bike.
Yeah, for sure. Well, give us a shout out of your crew before you leave. You've got actually. I mean, you ride with an MXGP racer. You run your solo program. You have a wonderful girlfriend who helps you with everything. You've kind of got this like crew. And give us your crew. Tell us your sponsors, and we'll set you on your way that way and let you enjoy your rest of your evening.
Well, you're going to put me on the spot, because if I miss anybody, they're going to be calling me tomorrow.
You can do what all the other pros do. Just say, and I want to thank everybody else too.
Yeah, everybody else I forgot. Sorry, but
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, like you said, my girlfriend Taylor, she's been she's super helpful lately, and just trying to like, do the resume stuff, reaching out to sponsors, making sure everything's good like that. And like obviously, like I've had Tom and Ellen by my side since I was like at birth, from the hospital. They're just like anything that needs to be done, it gets done. And like, we're not like super wealthy, but like when I needed new boots, it's like, okay, we're going to get you boots. And that's just how it was growing up. And now looking back on it, it's like, wow, they like put a lot of time and effort into me, and just to like, just see me do good. And yeah, it's cool that I had that support system. And I hope one day, I have kids of my own, and I can kind of give that support back. And I think that's why, kind of going back onto the kids situation, it's like, you never know what those kids have going on at home.
Yeah.
And if they go to the race and all they want to do is talk to you, and they just want to see you, it's like, I mean, you can make their whole year. You can make their whole life, really. Just by, being a good example and just showing them a little bit of support that they don't get,
Very
But,
true.
yeah, I mean, just like with the dealership, Sarasota Power Sports, and the whole My Power Sports group with Jason and Mike, and they've been by my side for a really long time, even behind the scenes when I was with KTM. Like, I was still having to buy my bikes and stuff, and Jason would make sure that I was taken care of, and yeah, with WP suspension and everything like that. And yeah, it's kind of like a reunion, it's like, everyone that supported me as a kid, we're kind of, coming back. I've been running Ronnie's graphics for, I think, like 12 years. And it's crazy to think, like, I call him up, hey, I need a set of graphics. And he's like, yeah, next day.
Wow.
And it's cool to have people like that and a part of my program. And yeah, like Dan Truman's really helping me out with connections, and like he's really good to have in my corner. And yeah, I'm really happy to call him a good friend, and he makes stuff happen. We have goggle problems, he's on the phone figuring out goggle situations or whatever the case is. He's really good to have in my corner. And yeah, I mean, just with the sponsors products, like I have a ton of support with a lot of people, and it's really cool that they see something in me, even if I don't get good results. It's still like they still ask if they need to do anything else, and I know it's really cool.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
It's really cool to have a supportive group around me, whether it's personal or even just business. It's like yeah, you just everyone's has the same goal. They're striving to be better, and whether it's results or whatever, it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to get on with us and talking about stuff. And we would love to get you back on just to talk about the year, maybe after halfway, maybe during the summer break. I know that's a little past halfway, but
yeah.
But and for what you do for the kids in Florida and the excitement you give us old people to watch someone go really fast out in the sand hills here in Florida is fun. But good luck. What does prep look like for next weekend?
Luckily we don't have much prep because like you just said, I mean, I'm local, so I know what the sand's like, and yeah, right now my only focus and prep is trying to get this arm pump stuff figured out, because yeah, if everything goes smooth in Florida, we should have a really good result. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the local fans out there, and yeah, just trying my best in front of the home crowd.
Now,
Awesome.
Quick question before we let you go, talking about the arm pump stuff. Do you have any take on there's two sides of this coin. The products that say they're gonna fix your arm pump, like I'm the
forearm strong,
yeah,
baby.
Or and then also the other side of it. Do you have any take on the arm pump surgery that's out there to fix arm pump?
Well, I've probably tried every single thing besides the surgery, and I still get arm pump. So that can answer anybody's question. I mean, if something worked, then I would definitely be on it, right?
Yeah.
No one likes getting arm pump. I think, I don't know, the surgery thing, like I'm not a huge fan of surgery. Like, obviously, it's very helpful, but I try to, like, I'm trying to figure this out without doing the surgery.
Yeah,
absolutely. Especially, I mean, obviously it's time and a lot of money, but yeah, I've heard really good things about the surgery. People say, oh yeah, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. I've also heard people say it was amazing until I got it again. And like, I'm the type of person where I think my body is really good at healing itself.
Yeah.
And it would heal back, and my body would say, oh my gosh, you should be so thankful I'm healed already, when that's the complete opposite of what we actually need to do, and it doesn't need to heal at all.
Yeah.
So that's tough. I'm kind of, I don't know, I've really been thinking about it lately, but it's obviously like we're just started the season, so it's not like I can do it anytime soon. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Some people get it really bad, like myself, and some people don't get it at all. So yeah, it's
for sure
one of those different battles.
Well, Jesse, thank you. Florida's own number 328 JA. Go online, get his merch. Mm-hmm. Go to Palaca to the Wild Boar. Go camping. Watch some GNCC next weekend. It's a party.
Yeah,
it's a party in the sand.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be out there. We'll be out there to support Jesse next weekend and take in some Supercross. Come watch some quads. Go watch some GNCC dirt bikes. And we'll talk to you because I have a lot of other questions because you do ride with a variety of people and you've got some speed. So I'm kind of curious as to if there's some other stuff you might want to do, but we'll touch on that at another time because we've kept you a long time and I know that you're a professional athlete and you need your rest.
Yeah, well, once I got the phone, I got to do some bike work, but yeah, no, it'll be good this summer. We'll get back on and we'll talk about some stuff. I should have some stuff up my sleeve here soon.
Cool.
And maybe we can discuss what's been happening and what I've been doing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, thanks for having me on.
Maybe we can get you on a little bit sooner if you get that first XC2 win under your belt.
Yeah, that'd be a good week for some media.
Yeah, that would be great, man.
And please do me a favor. Tell Taylor I have not ghosted her. Situations change. I'll get with her shortly.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
All right, Jesse. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
You too.
Guys, that was Jesse Ansley, Florida's own. Great, awesome local racer who has honestly struggled once he got off XC3. He struggled in the XC2, and you can see there's some health stuff, some bike stuff, some change of programs, and this is actually a good result to start the season in 8th because he's, as he said, I was in 11th where he kind of has been floundering for a while, and then he just kept putting it in, and I think the thing that I got the most of is just he's been beat up, not necessarily physically but just beat up mentally.
Yeah.
And he's still plugging away.
Yeah, that just really shows the determination and like he was saying, the sport's just too damn fun to give up. So that just shows how much love he does have for the sport and, So if you guys don't know who that is, like we said multiple times, it's Jesse Ansley. You guys can check him out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the above, and then obviously check out his merch, which maybe we can convince him to get us a shirt or something that we can maybe hang in the backdrop behind us. But let's get into. I see you holding the paperwork. Let's get into some U.S. Sprint Enduro.
We're gonna fly through the results, but we had a lot of racing the past 2 weeks. We took a 2-week break because there was no racing, and then all of a sudden there was a whole bunch of racing, and we kind of based these on whether MJ is racing or not. A couple weeks ago, they did one of the rounds of the U.S. Sprint Enduro. They're on a break until the end of March now, and we're going to run through some of the results. It was at the Silverheart Plantation, and women's pro, Brandy Richards, Rachel Gudish, Preston Rains, who, by the way, her dad is the Jason Rains. He does all of the Yamaha demos. Mm-hmm. And the funniest thing is she's not on a Yamaha.
No, not anymore.
She's on a Sherco.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, if my dad runs the whole thing, wouldn't Yamaha go, hey man, here's a bike? But no, she's on a Sherco.
Yeah, they must have. Maybe Yamaha was offering her bike because she's been on Yamaha up until this year.
Yes.
But maybe Sherco just stepped up. I mean, we see Josh Strang moved to Sherco, so maybe they're trying to make a push this year in the off-road or in the GNCC side of things, and maybe they just, like Jesse said, business decisions.
Yeah, and I want to say in the fourth place was Jordan Jarvis. For those that don't know, Jordan Jarvis was an up-and-coming woman trying to make it in motocross. Mm-hmm. Young lady who's been going the route of motocross, trying to get up, and she's kind of dipping her toe in the off-road section. So that was day 1 for the women. Men, Pro 2, there was Jason Tino, Angus Reardon, we're going to hear that name more, Jack Edmondson, Toby Cleveland, Dominic Morse, and Dakota DeVore. Pro 1, these names, some of these guys started having really good seasons very early.
Yes. Johnny
Gerard, Liam Draper, Cody Barnes, Craig DeLong, your reigning GNCC champion.
Yep.
Lane Michael, and Josh Toth. Toth. Day 2 on the women's side, much like the first day. Brandy, Corey, Rachel, Jordan, Preston. Top 5.
Yep.
Jason, Angus, Jack, Dominic, Dakota. Oh, we had a flip-flop. Toby and Dakota flip-flop. Pro 1, Johnny Gerard,
Liam Draper, Craig DeLong, Cody Barnes. Cody Barnes is the XC2 guy this year in GNCC.
Yep.
Josh Toth and Lane Michael. So that was round. What round was that? Round 3? Round 2?
Round 2.
Round 2 of the U.S. Sprint Enduro Series. That was the only race on the 3rd. We raced the week before GNCC. We had the NEPG first round, Sumter, which is ironic that they raced in South Carolina. But, women, the women's class, top 10 women, so pro women.
Yep.
Rachel Archer, the defending GNCC champion, trying out her new Kawasaki, which was also a very big change in the offseason.
And just happens to win by 2 minutes on her new Kawasaki.
Yep. And then Rachel Gudish, Shelby Turner, Jocelyn Barnes, Brooke Cosner. The weather looked great. The track looked good.
Mm-hmm.
We went up there last year. It was a little damp, but this year it looked nice. Looked good. Track looked. It's cool because it's not mountainous, but it's got rolling hills. And actually, last year on my GPS, we did 7,000 feet of climbing throughout the day.
Elevation throughout the day.
But just throughout the day, just up and down hills. But if you think about the course, that's a lot of climbing over a period of time.
I agree. I mean, 7,000 feet of elevation, I think.
It's over a mile.
Yeah, but snowshoe.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of how high snowshoe is.
So think about how many feet of elevation you're doing that race. But yeah, just over. Pro 2, Grant Davis, Nathaniel Tasha, Nicholas Defoe, and Toby Cleveland round out. Well, Thorne Devlin rounded out your top 5 in Pro 2. In Pro 1, you had Ryder Lafferty who's been kind of an enduro guy. He's making his debut for in XC1 this year. He took the win with Stuart Baylor with his ever-growing Kawasaki team.
Yes.
It's crazy. Archer wins on his team. He finishes second. Thad Duvall making his debut, finished 6th in Pro 1. But you had, it's great names. Lafferty, Stuart Baylor, Johnny Gerard, Ricky Russell, Josh Toth, and Thad Duvall were your top 6 in the Pro 1. That set the kind of okay, we see these guys, they're ready. Which leads us to this weekend, which we had the first round of the GNCC in Union. Like I said, we had round 6, I think, of FTR. By the way, FTR Saturday, weather was absolutely gorgeous. Quads and the young kids and the bikes, they all kind of had a great day. Sunday, not so pretty. But we're not going to talk too much about that because, like I said earlier, I'm so proud of the club for what they did. I am so proud of the riders in the morning that went out and slogged through. And, man, the afternoon riders for trying to race that track.
Yes.
Unbelievable. But
brutal.
But great. We're going to talk more about that with Jason tomorrow. But I want to talk about the GNCC because do we say you were a part of it? You were there?
I was there.
I'm not trying to make light, but you start the season, you get ready to go, and
so
what happened? What happened?
At the end of the day, all you can do is make light of the situation. You can't change it. There's really nothing you can do. It was an electrical issue, and if anybody has an EFI bike that has had an electric issue, then you know how hard they are to fix and how they just like to rear their head at random points. New quad going into this year, the GNCC, and go to take it to the trailer, and it is misfiring and in limp mode. We thought we got it fixed on Friday, go to the line Saturday, same thing. It is misfiring, goes into limp mode. So I hightail it over to Santo DeRisi's trailer, and it is now 9:40 when bike work starts. We start now, mind you, this isn't a normal GNCC. It's got the split schedule, kind of like Ironman. So my race starts at 10. So we hightail it over there, and just a humongous props to DeRisi Racing. Santo and James, they were on it in a heartbeat, and they stayed on it all the way until about 10:30 when we could not get the gremlins worked out, and so we finally just said, screw it. It's not going to hurt it because that's the whole point of limp mode, is so that it doesn't hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, screw it. I need to go out and get a lap so I can at least salvage some points. Of course, I finished last. I started a lap down. I literally came out behind the guy, behind one of the guys in my class. I came out behind the finish line to start that lap, and did the fastest lap of the race at about an hour and 2 minutes. that lap was, and just got the one lap in so we could salvage some points, and we've already got parts on order. Santos got it up in North Carolina at his shop, and man, they are hard at work trying to get it all figured out. I mean, we're swapping coils, plugs, wiring harness. I mean, we're doing the entire 9 yards to this bike to make sure it is prepped and ready to go in Florida. And guess what? If it's not prepped and ready to go in Florida, I got my Florida specific built bike down here in the garage that's 100 yards away from me that I can go race in. So we'll be ready to go no matter what for round 2. But if we want to jump into some ATVs real quick,
let's talk about the people that finished.
That was mean. Wow. So we'll jump into ATVs with the people that finished.
People that finished, yes.
So like you did with the Enduro, we'll start off with the WXC. So Jessica Elioff taking the win pretty convincingly. That is your reigning champion for the WXC class on the ATV side, with right under a minute lead. So looks like she is going to be hard to catch this year. But I will say some pretty tight battles all the way down the list, with Chloe Harper taking second and Hannah Hunter taking third. Now, I will say Chloe Harper started to come on pretty strong at the back half of last year. She made the switch from Honda to Yamaha mid-season at the summer break, and once she got on that Yamaha, she was hard to beat. So I think that'll be a good race. And just looking at, obviously you guys can't see that, but if you go on their website, you'll see just a very healthy WXC class with 13 entrants. That is the highest number I've seen in a while, with a lot of new faces. I know Malaya Crump is a new one. I believe, I don't want to say McKenna Brutally. I think she was in it last year maybe, but I know Malaya Crump, Haley Fowler, Anna Ansley. I know they are all new to the class this year. I'm sure I'm missing one or two, but
timeout for the newbie. She's the champion?
Jessica Elioff is the champion.
Why does she run number 418?
Because in the AM race, the 4x4 Pro gets the one. Because at the end of the day, it's based off an overall result. So if you go down the line, a lot of them have one built into their 3-digit number. And if they don't, then they will once they have the number 1. Because what they do is they have so she has 418, but it's 4 and then a big 1 and then 8. So she's still technically number 1, but she's not number 1 on paper. So you can see here, Cody Collier, reigning 4x4 Pro champion. He does have the number 1.
Okay.
So jumping into 4x4 Pro, we didn't have all the familiar faces with Landon Wolf being out this race. He did go into the season saying he wasn't going to run all the races this year, but when the races he does run, I believe he is going to be a mixer. I think he's going to get into the mix and kind of throw his weight around a little bit. I mean, he is multi-time 4x4 Pro champ. So
is he going a different direction, or is he?
I think he's just starting to focus on life. He's got a kid, and I think he's just trying to, like Jesse was saying, kind of set his life up going. Yeah. I mean, he's not a spring chicken, but he's also not, But Cody Collier taking the win by just under 2 minutes over Florida's own Brandon Frazier. I will say, Brandon was saying the bike itself was working great, but they just missed the suspension setup this week. But I will say, the last lap, 2 miles to go, he had a nasty crash. So basically, there's a rock on an incline. And the way the skid plate is on the 4x4, or on most of them, is the skid plate. So here's your bumper, here's the underneath of the quad. The skid plate kind of runs up the bumper. So what the skid plate did is it used that rock as a ramp. And so it literally did a backflip.
Ooh.
And he landed flat on his back. I mean, he's all bruised up and everything. And the bike landed flat on the ground and completely bent his bars up. Tore the front end all up, broke his dash into pieces, bent a rear trailing arm in the rear. Now, the people on the podcast won't be able to see it, but I can show you a picture. This is how he was riding those last 2 miles with his bars in his lap,
wow.
his throttle facing the ground. Both brake lines were ripped out of the master cylinder, so he didn't have any brakes. He said there were multiple times that because he couldn't steer, he was having to reverse off of trees and stuff because he just couldn't make the turn because his bars just wouldn't allow him. So to still finish second place over 10 seconds in front of third place, that's a hard fought ride right there. But also, congratulations to Hayden Mickelson on third. Good to see him start off the season good. Usually he starts off the season a little slow, and towards the end he starts catching fire. That happened last year, and then we saw at Ironman he finished second right behind Brandon. But same thing like WXC. A lot of new faces in this class this year. You have Braden Reed, who finished fifth in his first ever pro class race, and then Caden Wharf, who finished ninth, but unfortunately he did have a crash that took him out of the race. They were actually thinking femur broke. Now, turned out to be not true, but just the results of the crash, I believe what happened is he caught a tree, yanked it, and the bars went straight into his femur, and it was swelling immediately, so they thought break. So we'll try and move through these a little bit quicker because I know I've been talking a long time about that. But XC2,
that's a big group. That was
a
big group.
24 riders in the XC2 class. Now, there is only one winner. That winner was Alex Thiemann. He took the win by right about 30 seconds. Grayson Eller getting second and James Glotta getting third. Now, Alex Thiemann, he's a rookie, first year in the class.
So where did he come from?
He came from College A.
College A, okay.
Now, Grayson Eller, he rides for the Phoenix Racing Honda team. I'd actually love to have him and some of the Honda, or I guess they're Phoenix Racing Yamaha on the quad side. But I'd love to get him or him and his dad on one night just to kind of talk about the team and stuff. So maybe we can work in that in the future. But tight battle between him and James Glotta, coming in at under a second for the second place position, with Tavin Cook, who's also a rookie in this class, finishing fourth. Only about 5-ish seconds behind that battle. And I know Tavin had a pretty bad start, I think almost a last place start, and he had to work his way up. So I'd be excited to see what he can do with a good start.
Any of the new guys in this class that they need to get their feet kind of settled in? Do you see anybody making any moves that you can think of that came from maybe the College A classes or have stepped up?
So I see Alex Elioff is one of those. I believe he was running like Junior A maybe, who is husband to Jessica Elioff. So there is relation there.
Okay.
Which both of them crazy fast riders. But I mean, a lot of veterans in this class, but also we have Logan Huff, he works for Fast Company. He's actually my Flex Bar or my Fast Company rep. So shout out to him coming over from the West Coast.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously a West Coast company. Got 18th. He's still getting his feet wet. He's telling me this. I think this is maybe his third or fourth race on the East Coast, and
so is he going to be shipping back and forth to do it?
I think so. So what he's doing is he's keeping his bike over. He's got a GNCC bike that he's keeping on the East Coast. And then basically they got home from the track Saturday night. He cleaned his quad, cleaned his gear, and then Sunday morning, I mean, like the dedication to that guy. Obviously, he wants to come over here and do them because he's, they're getting home 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's still cleaning his bike, cleaning his gear, so it's ready for next race, and he's flying out Sunday morning.
Wow.
So, but yeah, cool to see Gabriel Nod still coming over here. He's from
Quebec.
Yeah, so it's cool to see. Obviously, he had some, I'm going to assume, a mechanical issue, only getting 2 laps in, but you see it a lot on the bike side. Like you'll get into that here in a little bit with New Zealand and Australia and stuff. But it's cool to see some quad guys coming over. Now to the big boys here.
The champ is still the champ.
The champ is still the champ, ending right where he left off. Bryson Neal taking the win. But here is my biggest point, and I'm honestly really proud of this guy. I don't really know him personally, but I've just followed him throughout the years. I mean, I remember when we're talking about Josh Merritt here, who finished second under a minute and a half behind Bryson Neal, which is not an easy feat. But I remember Josh Merritt, I think the first year Wild Boar was a GNCC race. So this is like 2015, 2016. We're in pro opening ceremonies. He's two-wheeling his quad, goes to wheelie it, misses the wheelie, and crashes during opening ceremonies.
Oh.
And it was bad. I mean, the quad starts flipping, seat flies off. I mean, so it's cool to see him come back from gooning out like that to now finishing second place, over 30 seconds in front of Walker Fowler. Now, I know Walker Fowler had some issues. So did Hunter Hart, hitting some of those jumping trees. But it's like he just found something this offseason. I mean, he did a race prior at Mid-East and took the overall win over some of these XC1 guys who typically would have beaten him. And no offense to you, Josh, but they would have smoked you in the past. So now seeing him do so well, it's kind of cool to be able to, kind of like Jesse, follow him through the ranks and see how they do in the pro.
Look at the old guys. 1, 2, 3 old guys. We got McGill, McClure, and Borch.
Yeah.
Borch still out.
I
went
there
to Wild Boar last year and watched Borch hang out with his kids. Like just hanging out.
Yeah, he's still out there kicking. I mean, there's a lot of, it seems like the dirt bike side, well, really all sides, man, they're starting to, instead of like I was telling Jesse, it's a young man's sport, but I mean, really, times are starting to change and you're seeing people stay in the class longer. Like I think Bryson Neal turns 30 this year. I think Josh Merritt's right there, about to turn 30. Walker's over 30. Obviously, Adams well over 30, you old man. And you got Jared McClure, Chris Borch. One thing I learned this weekend, Chris Borch is turning 41 this year, either 41 or 42.
He was so good in his time. He was the next guy.
Yeah,
and it's so funny because he kind of disappeared. Well, he didn't really disappear. He just stopped being the guy. He basically, when Fowler took over for him.
Yeah. And
it's so funny because last year, I swear I saw him hanging out at the corner of the track with his kids last year, like watching the race. And maybe he raced too, but he was just hanging, like it's not what it used to be with the big rig and the whole, it was like, oh, he's just like a dude now.
Yeah. That's what I think I wanted to touch on a little bit, but obviously Jesse had to go get some bike work done. And obviously we took up almost an hour of his time, but kind of like Jesse was saying, these guys are normal guys. Yeah. They just know how to ride a four-wheeler, or they just know how to ride a dirt bike. So like he was saying, like there's some guys in the pits he just really doesn't gel with. And I agree with that. It kind of frustrates me when, some of these pros on either side, they get to become a pro and then they just have a different demeanor about themselves, like almost like they're better than you. Well, yeah, you are better than me, but you still put your pants on the same way, one leg at a time, like I do in the morning. Like you're still a normal guy. So I love when people really all of these quad guys are the same, are like that, where they're just humble, down to earth guys that, they just, and obviously Jesse's one of them, and there's multiple on the bike side, but that is one thing that, if we want to have a hot topic today, that is just one thing that grinds my gears is when, like, give me the time of day. Like I may not be XC1 Pro or, double A at FTR, but, that doesn't mean that you can't be seen talking to me because you think I'm lesser than you. But yeah, that was my quick hot take of the day. But yeah, very good racing this weekend. Very fun to watch, especially when Bryson Neal and Josh Merritt are out front and Josh is right on his rear bumper for the first lap. But that is all I have for ATVs. So what do you have for the dirt bike race?
Well, we're going to start off with the women pro. And much like Bryson Neal, Rachel Archer did what Rachel Archer does.
Yes.
And Rachel Archer won. Close race. Corey Steed is, that name is kind of becoming synonymous in the ladies racing. Brandy Richards, Shelby Turner, Rachel Gudish. The name that she finished 8th, Caitlin Lindsay, because Caitlin, you have the coolest hometown ever, Beaver Dam, Kentucky. That is, you win City of the Year. Jordan Jarvis, we're contemplating maybe there was something happened because she only got 3 laps and not a great day for Preston Rains, but 12 ladies in the pro women's class. There's actually more women pros in the quad side than in the bike side, but great representation. I'm really impressed with bike change, defending champion, and to come out and defend first round,
making
on a new bike. Ride. Yeah, that is pretty good. 5-second victory, nothing to sneeze at. It is 5 seconds, right?
A minute and 5. Or no. Excuse me.
5
no,
seconds.
you were right. You're right.
5 seconds.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I did not mean to doubt your expertise.
So in the women's side, speaking of, you were touching on some of the nationalities. Rachel being from New Zealand, Shelby Turner being from Canada. We jumped to XC2. Sorry, with all the different Pro 2, and we got Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Canada, and Argentina in XC2. This is one of the premier off-road series in the world. We have World Enduro, we have different things.
Yeah.
But this is, if you want to go off-road racing through the woods, hair scramble-esque, this is
you come here to GNCC.
All right, Angus, we're going to mispronounce your name possibly. We think it's Reardon because at one point there used to be a horse that my daughter used to ride whose name was Reardon, spelled exactly the same. If it's not Reardon, we would love for you to correct us and tell us that we're wrong. But Angus Reardon wins the XC2 class. You've heard that name in some of the results through other stuff. Liam Draper finishes 2nd. Grant Davis finishes 3rd. Toth, Joshua, by the way. Can we just be Josh in GNCC, or do we have to be really formal? And then Toby Cleveland rounded out the top 5. Welcome back to Thad Duvall, also known as Thaddeus. I feel like this is the same thing like when it's Adam Cianciarillo, but if you look at his AMA stuff, it's Michael Cianciarillo.
Yeah.
Because he's not Adam. But Thad, welcome back. And on the XC2, I know people are shocked, but hey, he's got a ride. I feel like they would be back in the day when Hart and Huntington first came out, H&H. They had smoke machines, dancing girls, different. I feel like Stuart Baylor's team could be that GNCC. Like, you have Stuart Baylor. You have Thad, who's fun. You have Rachel, who is from Australia, New Zealand. So, I mean, a fun country. Like, I feel like they might have, they could maybe do the H&H thing. And have, the smoke machines and wild music and different things going on. I found out that Stuart Baylor and who's the other guy? I was just listening to a podcast. They love eating pasta and steak before their things, and they're always told you shouldn't, but they feel like the steak helps them have more energy later on. And
Stu also likes to drink a couple beers too the night before just to
loosen it up.
Yeah, just get things loose. But Thad Duvall, I don't like the backlash he's getting from being an XC2 rider because nobody can tell me that they would deny a salary ride if it meant they had to go down a class.
Well, he also hasn't. It's like AMA Supercross. If you haven't finished in a certain position for a couple of years, or you've been out for a couple, you are allowed to then move back down.
So, to my knowledge, I believe they changed the rules to now XC3 is Pro-Am and XC2 is Pro. So I think you can make XC2 a career class if you wanted to.
Well, he also I learned this from Jason. He never defended his title in XC2.
Oh.
So he never defended, but he also
technically he does. No matter what the rule is, he still has a year of eligibility, I guess.
And he has been hurt for 2 years.
Yeah.
So he really hasn't been in the position to defend or earn the points necessary in XC1. Yeah. And honestly, do we really care? We get to watch that Duvall race.
Yeah. Be happy for the guy that he didn't crash out in the first round like he has the past 2 years.
And as we talked about our interview tonight, Jesse Ansley finished 8th, which is, I know there was disappointment, but honestly, it's a great first round to prove that he can make his way through. And if he works on his starts and gets his first laps down. But 15 guys in the XC2 class. Cody Barnes finished 14th.
A lap down, too.
I'm going to say I hope there was a problem because I expect him higher up.
Yeah.
Looking at the results and some of the enduro stuff, I do expect he's been a top 5 guy. So I'm guessing there was something that occurred.
Yeah.
But XC1,
big dogs.
Johnny Gerard, he's had a pretty good getting ready.
Yeah. And obviously it worked because here we are, first place.
Yep. And it's still weird to me looking at, like, you see factory KTM. You look at factory KTM no matter around the world, and it's Red Bull factory KTM. And I understand that there's bike issues and different things across the board. They've struggled, but it's factory KTM. Hey, other manufacturers, can we kind of like follow suit? And like, why is Stuart Baylor? Congratulations, by the way, Stuart Baylor on 2nd place on your own team with Kawasaki. And then your brother on a different Kawasaki team finishes 3rd. Not bad. 2 brothers. I wonder if that's ever happened before with another brothers.
I'm not sure.
Getting
It'd kind of be like a Jet and Hunter thing.
Yeah, but an off-road type thing.
Also, Stu Baylor getting the monster ride. I mean,
yeah.
I mean that is pretty cool. Honestly, I'd see Stu as more of like I feel like Red Bull would more go after him because Red Bull likes that media attention.
Yeah.
And they like the people who do absurdly different things. And if you look at Stu's physical and mental being, he is definitely very different. So you think that they would go after him, but obviously congrats to him with the monster ride. But continue on.
Running through 4th, Jordan Ashburn, Evan Smith finished 5th. Ricky Russell. That's who it was, Ricky Russell. Ricky Russell likes having pasta and steak. I knew it would come to me. Trevor Bollinger. Dante Oliveira, I'm guessing he's still trying to figure it out. Josh Strang on his new Sherco. Not a bad start to the season, 9th. Michael Witowski on his Honda. Craig DeLong, the defending champion. Rough start, 11th. Yes. Ryder Lafferty, who just came off winning the Enduro, finishes 12th. Lyndon Snodgrass, even he posted something that, hey, man, it was a crappy start. We'll figure it out. Riley, I'm going to let you try to pronounce that. McGill Ivray?
Yeah, I don't even want to attempt to. Yeah, Riley.
Riley McGill Livray. And then Lane Michaels finished. But all 15 XC1 guys, 6 laps.
Yep, all of them are on the lead lap, and they may have been 30 minutes apart from first to last, but seeing them all on the lead lap, no mechanical failures, no injuries, that's That's a great start to the year when you look back on previous years.
Yeah, when we can get everybody through, when we can get everybody going. I'm not shocked by Johnny Gerard, but he's a little bit of a free spirit. I think. Who's the guy that's out? He's going to be out for half the season. Ah, man.
Ben Kelly.
Ben Kelly. That's the only one we're kind of missing right now, and I'm kind of curious when we get him back where he's going to fill in. But good first round. I'm glad that we had good weather. So many times GNCCs, they're always going to have their elements, but it was nice to get a clean race to start the season. When they come to Florida, we've had lots of rain, so that sand could be packed in a little more. The water holes are going to be the water holes. Wild Boar, it's kind of the outlier race of the season. It's not like any other race. I know that even snowshoes the race, but it's still a rocky mountainous track. Great first race, first round. Lots of racing going on. The next one we'll cover is after the Florida round of the GNCC. We will cover that round.
Mm-hmm.
That will be a busy weekend. We'll have GNCC. There's the Supercross at Daytona. There's the Pro Quad Race in Daytona. There's the RCMX, which is now is it a mini major? Is it a mini major? It might be a mini major.
That would be a Derek question.
Yeah.
Derek would know that answer.
But there's a lot of racing getting ready to happen here in a short period of time. And we're going to focus on the off-road side. The Alligator Enduro was supposed to occur during Bike Week, but it has, because of the ground saturation, it had to be moved. So the Alligator Enduro will not happen on Bike Week for the first time in a really long time. So we're going to cover that, but support MJ Adonis and the 520. I do like the color scheme.
It did come out very good.
And really, tonight was really about getting Jesse and getting to talk with him. And I want to thank you for setting that up. I really appreciate that. It's our first live interview.
Yeah.
And like I said, tomorrow night, I'm going to have Jason on to discuss some of the goggle technologies and different things going on in the off-road world that you and I don't really dive into. But we have someone that does, and he's very good at it. And anything else?
No, yeah. Just big thank you to Jesse. And I know we've talked about summer break, but hopefully I have high hopes that we can get him on before that, because he is going to have an amazing race at one of these races. And I figured if he, top 5, top 3s, and he wants to come on and talk about it, I'd love to be the first people to be able to talk about it with him. So, and you've seen the hat all day. Thank you to UATC HWC for sponsoring and getting us these hats. And if you want one, let me know. And we're hopefully going to have some more options and stuff. And maybe we'll have some shirts at some point. But I am wearing my DP Break shirt, Larry Mills. So make sure to reach out to him for any of your braking needs on your motorcycle, your street motorcycle, your dirt bike, quad, ATV, whatever you want to call it, side by side. And they also do clutches as well. So make sure to get at them. Larry Mills on Facebook, or you can find his email on the website. But that is all I have. I don't know about you.
I don't have anything else. I was looking forward to sitting down and discussing this and talking about the results, because I knew we had a lot packed in.
Yeah.
And no, it's good. It's been exciting to go to a lot of racing. Went to Detroit, went to FTR, heading to Dallas or Arlington this weekend for Supercross. So it just doesn't end.
No, there's a lot of racing going on, and there will be until summer break for most off-road. But even after summer break for you, I'm sure you'll still be traveling to the pro motocrosses if that's still a thing.
Yep, we'll do something, but I'm gonna get back on the bike after the marathon. So
yes, I'm very excited for that. I think I'm more excited for you to get on a bike than you are to get on a bike.
But he is MJ Adonis. I am Trey Heath. We are together the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast goes off-road, off-track, and off-topic. And this has been episode 43 and a half. And we want to thank our guest, Jesse Ansley. JA, go find his merch and support him. If you're in Florida, go to the Wild Boar. You'll have a great
Yes.
time. You can walk all over the place. I know we've had FTR races there and you can't go anywhere. At the GNCC, you want to go to the far end of the track and watch where they put it together, and there's 3 different sections and you can watch 3 different miles.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can go and have a good time, and it's like going to a professional race. So, y'all, we will talk to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With hopefully a non-electrical report.
Yes. Hopefully.
So, and I will be there. I will be acting as team manager for Bryce and MJ during that race, and I look forward to. I don't like not having success, so we will have success.
We will have success. We will be extremely successful.
Y'all have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.